Hello and good afternoon. I'm Mohana Priya. Welcome to Updates at Noon. The Finance Ministry will study each proposal submitted by the people and stakeholders in drafting the 2021 budget, which is scheduled to be tabled in Parliament in November, and subsequently the tabling of the 12th Malaysia Plan next year. Deputy Finance Minister 1, Dato' Abdul Rahim Bakri, said the government would try to do its best for the country by drafting the best instrument and at the same time observe the success and failures of other countries as a guide. Now, the health emergency due to the COVID-19 pandemic, according to Dato' Abdul Rahim, is the worst incident in world history, and the economic impact is the most devastating in 100 years. He said even though Malaysia recorded a growth rate of 0.7% in the first quarter of 2020, the performance in the second quarter and subsequent quarters would give the real picture of the global economic slump and its impact on the country. In a statement released yesterday, Dato' Abdul Rahim said the retail sector is becoming more active, especially for the small and medium enterprise, SMEs, while the tourism services sector is still badly hit, particularly for large-scale hotels, which require a longer time to recover, as the segment depends on foreign tourist arrivals in Malaysia. He stressed the government's priority now is to reduce the unemployment rate, ensure local workers will get re-employment opportunities through the wage subsidy initiative, retraining and reskilling, and encourage e-commerce business activities and gig economy. Now, the monitoring of current chicken prices by the Enforcement Division of the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, KPDN HEP, found that the retail prices of standard chicken has started to show a downward trend in public markets and supermarkets from 1st to 17th July. KPDN HEP Enforcement Director Dato' Iskandar Halim Sulaiman, in his statement yesterday, said the trend was in line with the decline in live farm chicken prices in the second week of July of between RM4.50 and RM5.40 per kilo from the first week, namely RM5.20 per kilo to RM6.10. He said the standard chicken price in the first week of July is between RM8 per kilo and RM8.50 per kilo, and hence decreased in the second week with a price of RM7.60 to RM7.90 per kilo. Dato' Iskandar said KPDN HEP would continue to monitor the current supply and prices of chicken in the market so that consumers could obtain chicken at an affordable price. He added that KPDN HEP has carried out an inspection of chicken price increases following complaints from the public on 15th June. Dato' Iskandar explained that monitoring was carried out under the Price Control and Anti-Profiteering Act 2011 to identify the supply chain levels that initiated the cause of rising chicken prices and to detect if there were profiteering activities. A total of 8 investigation papers had been opened on poultry traders suspected of committing profiteering in inspections carried out from 17th to 30th June. These 8 cases involved 4 retailers in the Melaka public market and 4 chicken wholesalers, 1 in Melaka and the other 3 in Kuala Lumpur. All the cases were being investigated under Section 14, Subsection 1 of the Price Control and Anti-Profiteering Act 2011. The Ministry of Communications and Multimedia Malaysia, KKMM, is checking if the controversial documentary Locked Up in Malaysia's Lockdown, produced by international media Al Jazeera, was licensed by the National Film Development Corporation, or FINAS, before it began production. Its Minister, Datuk Saifuddin Abdullah, said the company or production team involved needed to get permission from FINAS, as it was a requirement for the production of films and documentaries in the country. His ministry, he said, through the Information Department, would also be checking whether Al Jazeera met accreditation conditions in shooting the documentary.
Bawah yang polis yang di bawah kementerian saya ada 2. Jabatan Penerangan melihat dari segi akreditasi Al Jazeera, dan FINAS melihat dari segi yang mereka buat dokumentari itu, adakah mendapat izin, sebab dia buat filem, buat dokumentari ini kena dapat izin daripada FINAS. Jadi itu FINAS sedang siasat.
He said this to reporters after the launching of the Nation of Women Pahang in Kuantan yesterday, which was also attended by now President Haniza Talha and FINAS Chairman Zakaria Abdul Hamid. Commenting further, Datuk Saifuddin said the Information Department would be checking if there was a violation of the accreditation conditions. The 25-minute, 50-second documentary alleged that illegal immigrants in the country were being mistreated as Malaysia was implementing measures to address the spread of COVID-19. After it was aired, many Malaysians voiced outrage that it falsely depicted the country, and a slew of police reports were lodged against Al Jazeera. Police subsequently interviewed a number of people from Al Jazeera to assist their investigations into the controversial documentary. An Indian tourist was arrested after ramming his car into several vehicles while believed to be under the influence of alcohol in an incident at Jalan Pantai Chenang yesterday. District Police Chief Superintendent Muhammad Iqbal Ibrahim said the 35-year-old disabled man is alleged to have rammed the car he was driving into vehicles parked in the parking lot of a chalet. In a released statement, he said the incident happened when the man who came from the direction of Jalan Pantai Chenang entered the parking lot of Langkapuri Inn to go to a grocery shop. While making a U-turn at the parking lot, the suspect lost control of the vehicle and hit the car on the left side of the road, causing it to knock into another car next to it. Superintendent Muhammad Iqbal said the suspect's car then skidded to the right of the road before crashing into two other cars. He said a breathalyzer test proved that he had been driving under the influence of alcohol, adding that the man was also found to have no driver's license. The Housing and Local Government Ministry, KPKT, is leaving it to the family of the late Muhammad Adib Muhammad Kasim to take civil action against the police over their alleged negligence to prevent incidents that led to the firefighter's death. Its Deputy Minister, Datuk Sri Dr. Ismail Abdul Muttalib, said Muhammad Adib's family has the right to justice for the death of the firefighter.
Cuma yang penting dia dan rakyat inginkan keadilan kepada Adib. Kita tak tahu sebenarnya, kita tahu, saya pun tak tahu. Tapi bagi dia itu hak dia, hak dia untuk membuat apa ni. Tapi kita serahlah kepada undang-undang.
He said this after visiting the Meru Raya Fire and Rescue Station in Ipoh yesterday. Last Friday, the media reported that Muhammad Adib's family was planning to claim compensation from the police for their alleged negligence and failure to prevent the death of the 24-year-old firefighter on 17th December 2018 after he sustained serious injuries during a commotion at the Sri Mahamariamman Temple in USJ 25, Subang Jaya. On 27 September last year, the Shah Alam Coroner's Court ruled that the firefighter's death was the result of a crime committed by more than two or more unknown persons. On whether KPKT would give its support to any decision taken by Muhammad Adib's family, Datuk Sri Ismail said the ministry would leave the matter for legislative consideration. The Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency, MMEA, seized 7 Vietnamese fishing boats and detained 83 fishermen, including the skippers and crew, aged between 16 and 68, for encroaching into Malaysian waters to fish. Terengganu MMEA Director, Maritime Captain Muhammad Sufi Muhammad Ramli said the arrests and seizures were made within 3 days, beginning Thursday, at separate locations between 117 and 135 nautical miles off Kuala Terengganu during the Ops Kuda Laut operation. He said the value of the seized items, which included 7 boats, 5 tons of catch, 10,000 litres of diesel and fishing equipment, was estimated at 10.5 million ringgit. He added that while on the way to MMEA's jetty, a fight broke out between 2 Vietnamese crew members.
Masa proses mengiringi bot tahanan yang kita dah berjaya tangkap, ada satu kejadian di mana pergaduhan berlaku di kalangan awak-awak di salah sebuah bot tahanan ni, dan menyebabkan seorang awak-awak telah ditikam di bahagian rusuk kanan, dan mangsa yang mengalami kecederaan tersebut telah kita selamatkan, bawa ke JT dan dibawa terus ke hospital Kuala Terengganu untuk rawatan.
Briefing reporters at the Terengganu Maritime Jetty yesterday, he said all the Vietnamese fishermen had been brought to undergo the COVID-19 screening tests. The case is investigated under the Fisheries Act 1985 for encroaching and fishing in Malaysian waters and the Immigrations Act 1959-63 for not having proper travel documents. Meanwhile, 2 Vietnamese fishing boats were sunk in the waters off Pulau Redang to become artificial reefs. Maritime Safety and Surveillance Division Director, Rear Admiral Maritime Kamaruzzaman Abu Hassan said about 153 Vietnamese fishing vessels had been disposed of by the Terengganu MMEA within 10 years. He said this demonstrated the government's firmness in fighting the threats from foreign fishermen while ensuring the country's sovereignty and protecting its fishery source. He added the disposal of the boats as artificial reefs provide various other benefits, such as enriching marine life and encouraging maritime tourism. Commenting further, Rear Admiral Kamaruzzaman said these efforts will continue with the cooperation and support from other parties, such as the Department of Fisheries, Marine Parks, and Institute for Southeast Asian Marine Resources. He said this after witnessing the disposal in the waters of Pulau Redang yesterday. Still to come, Kajang folks say Saturday's flood the worst in 5 years. Now, residents affected by Saturday night's flash floods in Kajang and Bangi have described the flood as among the worst over the last 5 years. The speed at which the floodwaters rose also led to many residents being unable to save their belongings in time, leaving furniture, electrical appliances and other items damaged. Many of those affected spent their Sunday busy scraping and washing mud from their houses and sorting out the damaged items.
Start dari pukul 8 tu air dah start naik. Mula daripada sejam selepas tu air dah mula naik sampai ke atas ni.
Tinggi mana tu kalau
Tinggi dah pukul 8 tu dah paras betis. Dalam pukul 10 lebih tu dah naik sampai ke rumah. Memang mengejut dah. Dari 15 minit awal tu memang air kita tak jangka pun. Sebab sebelum ni tak pernah jadi pun.
Last banjir saya ingat dalam 5-6 tahun lepas lah. 5-6 tahun lepas. Tak ada teruk sangat lah. Maknanya walau barah pinggang je lah. Tak sampai masuk ke dalam rumah lah. Ini yang sejak 32 tahun saya duduk sini ni lah. Banjir yang saya rasa paling teruk lah saya alami. Selama saya duduk sini. 30 tahun lebih.
As of 5 p.m., the family was still cleaning the house and sorting out appliances which were damaged. The flash flood in Kajang town, which reached almost 3 meters, is believed to have been largely caused by the river breaking its banks. This marks the first major flood this year for Kajang folk after river expansion works had been carried out in 2017. The Malaysian Meteorological Department had previously cautioned of a wet spell, which is forecasted to last until the end of the month. A total of 562 community-based rehabilitation program or PDK centres throughout the country will begin operations next month in accordance with the standard operating procedure set by the government. Women, Family and Community Development Minister Datuk Sri Rina Mohamed Harun said the ministry was currently in the process of obtaining the Health Ministry's approval of its SOP.
Total PDK kita 562 PDK di seluruh Malaysia dengan jumlah pelatih yang kita ada hampir 21,000. Dia 21,000. Jadi jumlah sebenarnya 20,303. Jadi yang kita akan buka ini sudah pasti ada SOP tertentu yang perlu diikuti berikutan dari PKPP yang kita ada sekarang ini dan ianya dalam proses untuk kelulusan daripada pihak Kementerian Kesihatan.
She said this after attending the PDK Interaction program held in Georgetown yesterday. At the event, she also presented 3.4 million ringgit in financial aid to 25 PDK in Pulau Pinang as allowance to disabled trainees, payment to supervisors and workers, payment for rental of premises and utilities. The PDK is a strategy for local community development for rehabilitation, training, education, equal opportunities and social integration of disabled persons. And that's it from us this afternoon. In our top story today, Finance Ministry to study Rakyat's proposals for Budget 2021. Tune in to our news at 10 this evening on the Berita RTM on My Free Views channel 123. Now you can also stream MyClick's saluran Berita RTM. Till then, I'm Mohana Priya. Thanks for watching.